Hey everybody, this is Linda, and I am back to follow up on our last 10-minute talk, which was Yahoo's email deliverability crisis in 2025. In this one, we're going to talk about what do you do now and what to do now that you want to get back up and going. So to recap, bulk emailers, and bulk emailers are generally defined as anyone sending over 5,000 emails in a 24-hour period. But they were kicked off Yahoo because they had high spam complaints. They had misconfigured or misaligned SPF, DKIM, DMARC. Their emails could not be authenticated. They lacked one-click subscribe, and that was a big one because nobody knew that that was a requirement because it's not a requirement of the Spam Act. And then, of course, the use of unvetted third-party data. So now what we're seeing is marketers with the right technical setup and the right sending, what they call the right sending behavior, are getting back in and they're getting back up. But again, they're only doing this very carefully managed recovery strategy. And we're going to talk about what that strategy is today. So first thing, and again, I know I emphasized this a lot in my last 10-minute talk, but I'm going to emphasize it again. Make sure that your domain, your mailing domain, is fully authenticated and aligned. So your SPF, authorize all sending IPs, DKIM, sign from your brand domain, DMARC, this was recommended by one of the delivery experts, and monitor that DMARC designation. Alignment, make sure the from name matches the DKIM SPF domain. MX Toolbox is a great one to use, as well as Google Postmaster Tools. There's a lot of tools out there. Those are just two that I sort of monitor. Okay, number 2 is warm up your sending reputation. Make sure your domain is fully authenticated and aligned. And you want to start small because you want to, again, you're going to monitor this as you come up. And you don't want to come up really, really fast. If you get a day and you go, oh, it's all working, and then you punch it out with 10,000, Yahoo will shut you down again. So they're watching these sudden volume increases. So you want to do this on a slow basis. So the first week, engaged users only. Again, go back to your data. Who do you have that you know regularly engaged with you? And send to those engaged users only. Beginning in the second and third week, you want to start increasing that, but you want to make sure that you're increasing it to active users or who was active users before you were removed. And again, keep the amount small, 1,000, 2,000. By the second, and you want to keep that going for quite a while. You know, by the time you get to the third, fourth, fifth week, you can start increasing it. So you can use broader lists. But again, you want to monitor who's opening it, whether they're engaging with it, and suppress any stale email addresses. Anybody that does not open within a short period of time, you immediately go to suppression. Recommendation, always suppress unengaged users. Yahoo's monitoring for that. Any non-opens, say within 60 days, you want to suppress those. And don't use purchased or managed data unless you have the opt-in verification. List unsubscribed. Okay, you've got to go to that header, one-click unsubscribe. Yahoo is monitoring for that. And you've got to actually have it activated and used across the list. You also want to make sure that you keep your standard unsubscribed in the footer as required by CAN spam. You want to honor opt-outs within 48 hours. I don't know that Yahoo can actually monitor for that, but they might be. But that is their new requirement, and eventually they will be able to. Yahoo and Gmail are checking for those header unsubscribes, and if it's gone, or it's not present, or it doesn't work, you're getting sent to the spam folder. Again, go back to your list. Go back to your data hygiene. Clean your list before you send. Make sure you've got engagers. Remove bounces. Remove any data that is an identity role. Info at, sales at, privacy at. Those shouldn't be in your list to begin with. You want to have persons on the other end of that email. Suppress any spam complaint addresses. And again, focus on opens, clicks, and replies, and start moving your data into those types of lists. Rumor has it, Yahoo cares more about engagement than just deliverability. So they're watching to see how many of your emails get opened. Make sure that at least when they're doing their closest monitoring within the first few weeks, you have a lot of engagement and users. Monitor your complaint rates. Again, you should have always been trying to keep it under 0.3%. Ideally, you'd like to get that to 0.1%. If you have people who are engaging with your emails, it will always stay under 0.3%. Use Google Postmasters for any indirect insight and pause the campaigns. Pull it if that comes up too high and start it over again. Find out what the issue is and start it over again. You also want to watch your campaigns because the campaigns are also going to create trigger problems for you. Avoid trigger words. Buy now, risk-free, in soon, anything like that. They also recommend you add personalization if you can. Hey, Linda, we've got a great product for you, or we've got a great service, or did you know about this? Keep subject lines low in caps and punctuation and get rid of the symbols. Dollar signs, dollar signs, dollar signs are going to get you a second look from Yahoo. Test sends using Mail Tester or Litmus. The other recommendation that I've seen recently, and I don't have feedback on this, but you may want to create a subdomain and send from a subdomain. What that does is it keeps the root domain reputation safe. It may also assist you in breaking up your campaigns. So if you campaigns where you have high engagement as opposed to moderate or low engagement, you may want to do those on subdomains. Again, it keeps the root domain reputation safe, and it's easier to monitor and manage and warm up independent of each other. All right, ongoing compliance practices. Once you get up and going, don't go back to what you did before. Always make sure that you have a DMARC review. Always make sure that your authentication aligns. Always make sure that you are monitoring for complaints. Make sure that's a daily basis. Any bounces, any non-engagement, remove that. Make sure you're doing list cleaning. In addition to your suppression requests, which now have to be within 48 hours to stay on Yahoo, you'll want to make sure that you clean up the list for anything else that you find there, including non-engagement or non-openers. Make sure your domain and IP warm up, that you audit it quarterly, that you actually look at how is it doing, what is it doing, how high are my spam complaints, and you want to make sure that you produce a report at least quarterly on that. I would recommend for the first while you do it monthly. And again, you want to do a content spam check for each campaign. Make sure that the campaigns or the content you're sending out is something that consumers want. Okay, summary to getting back up and going. Make sure you set up an SPF, DKIM, and DMARC, and they all align. Number 2, use clean, engage, first-party data if you have it. If you don't have it, use third-party data, but make sure that you have the opt-ins. Number 3, gradually rewarm your sending domains. As they start to warm up, don't overload them. Keep them small. Build steady. Monitor complaint rates and your list health. Very, very important. Implement that one-click unsubscribe headers, and that's across the list. So that's a permanent suppression. Get them out. If they're complaining, get them out. If they request, get them out. Have that permanent suppression file. And then segment throttle campaigns as needed or as performance is indicated. If that makes sense, that's the recommendation and that's the ongoing protocol. If you have questions, please reach out to your compliance advisor, your marketing counsel, and be sure to make compliance a competitive edge, not a crisis point. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye. Welcome to ClickLaw.com. Please remember that ClickLaw.com is not a law firm and does not provide legal advice. The use of these materials in the presentation today is not a substitute for legal advice. We strongly recommend that you consult with a competent attorney to ensure that these materials address your specific situation. In fact, we recommend that an attorney be consulted for all legal matters. No attorney-client relationship is created by the use of these materials.